I've lived in Atlanta since I was 3 years old. I have never a day in my entire life felt like a minority. I have no idea what that feels like. I have no idea to feel like somebody white is in the way of me accomplishing anything or making me feel inferior or that I can't accomplish it or I'm not smarter than they are. I don't know more than they are, or I'm not as educated or as talented or as confident as any of them. Never in my life. And the only reason that that exists is because of a chain of events that was started through civil rights with Martin Luther King, which led to 5 years after his assassination, we elected our first Black mayor, Maynard Jackson. And that transition from the church to politics was the beginning, because they were like, look, we can march all day long, but they're just going to shoot us, whatever. But we infiltrate the government and then write laws that economically benefit us. That changes. That's a code, how we move. So politics has served as a great tool to create Black wealth that no other section of America has been able to do with Black people. So I don't know how familiar you are with Maynard Jackson and his legacy. He integrated the police force. He created the joint venture contracting system, which means government contracts should just go to firms. Like, you have a firm, I'm going to pay your firm to build this building. Maynard Jackson, and all those contracts are going to white people. And so Maynard came in and said, no, you'll get 75% of the contract, but 25% of the contract by law has to go to these Black people. So I don't care if you're selling stuff in the airport, if you're building the airport, if you're doing food services, if you're doing sanitation, if you're doing landscaping, if you're doing construction, all these things, these contracts have to by law go to Black people. So if you fast forward to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I can't remember how many billions of dollars that stadium cost, but 25% of that contract had to go to H.J. Russell and Company.
So that's still in existence.
Yeah, it's higher. It's up to 33%, even in the airport. So the airport does $6 million in concessions every year, business.
Mm-hmm.
6 billion, not a million, billion. And by law, 33% of that business has to go to Black-owned businesses. Meaning, if you want to put a business in the airport, you can put your business in the airport, but just go find somebody Black to own it. So there's a Shake Shack in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all familiar with Shake Shack?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the owner of Shake Shack in the airport is a Black man. Because they can't build no Shake Shack in the airport unless you go find somebody Black to build it. That's what code look like. That's how you make people rich. I've lived in Atlanta.
Well, another good morning to you, and welcome to Let It Be Known. And you're hearing Isaac Hayes III spit some game down there about Atlanta. Niele, it's a interesting concept.
It definitely is. Can't wait to talk about that. Good morning and peace and love, everybody. I want to talk about that. And we also have headlines. The NAACP is saying they suing everybody. And we're going to tell you who they starting with.
You get a lawsuit.
You get a lawsuit. Yeah. And we'll tell you what Purple Rain Star is suing the Prince Estate along with
Lord.
Snoop is in trouble again. This time in culture trouble once again, and we'll have the details on that. And we have a Cracker Barrel update for you.
Oh, Lord.
There's a lot to talk about this morning, but of course, that video from Isaac Hayes reminds me of a book that Charles Blow wrote called The Devil You Know. And it's about African Americans doing a reverse migration back to down south. Now, although he was talking about building wealth, Charles Blow was talking about, if we did a mass exodus back to the South, that's how we could build our political power and have some type of ownership in the direction of this country. And so everybody is saying all roads lead back to the South. Now, we was running from the South at one time, and now Black folks are saying the Great Migration should be back to the South. How y'all feel about that, chat?
Well, yeah, we had Charles Blow on to talk about exactly that when he did the book. Austin is starting trouble already, so Niele, be on the lookout. He's asking me not to forget Taylor Swift's engagement. Who could care less? Only Flavor Flav cares. But nonetheless,
A little people care about Taylor. Yeah, that was a huge headline yesterday.
I
What did
shouldn't have
she
mentioned
say?
it because
Yeah, she said the English teacher and the gym coach are getting itched, and I'm happy for them.
yeah, listen, yeah, exactly. But anyway, more importantly, RNG and Austin mentions Maynard Jackson, Jesse Jackson, and Marion Barry made white folks give black people an equal opportunity to become successful. You just wonder, and that is great.
Chocolate
Hopefully, it's still
City.
in
I
play.
mean, think about that. Chocolate City,
Mhm.
tons of blacks. So when you have concentrated black communities, you do have economic, sometimes, and then you have political power. And we
Mhm.
see that's being taken away across
I'll
the
never
country.
forget. I will never forget. Was it last year, or the year before last? Year before last, I went down to Atlanta and met with oh gosh, why is it? The great legendary civil rights leader, former mayor. Oh
Andrew Young.
gosh,
You talking about
Andrew
Andrew
Young.
Young?
Andrew Young. And he told me, he said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "We held the power down here in Atlanta." He said, "We made sure that the president appointed the right judges on the Supreme Court. We made sure that the president appointed the right judges on the federal bench." And he said that that's how they got the civil rights bill passed. He said
Mhm.
because they understood and they respected and feared the black power structure down there.
Mhm.
So it goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take even a deeper look at how, we have a tradition of building wealth and power in this country, and the white folks burned up all those towns before we even
Yeah,
got to civil rights.
yeah.
Rosewood,
Hmm.
Greenwood. I mean, so many. Thank God for social media. That's a good thing about social media because there are a lot of people who want to tell Black truths, Black histories, and you start to realize how many towns were decimated and destroyed by systemic racism,
Hmm.
right? And before we even got to the systemics, just like whites plantation, not plantation owners, but post Civil War, when black people were able to, find their ground and build community, and then realizing, okay, we can have our own black doctor, we'll have our own black lawyers, we'll have our own black banks. Communities begin to grow and thrive, and you not even have to deal with the white folks. And then they come in and they burn it all up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, the great example is Tulsa. So yeah. Lots going on, but that was a good way of starting with that.
And something very provocative to think about. Would you
Mhm.
be willing to pack up and migrate to where you could build black community? Because white folks is doing it right now. There's a huge story circulating about a white community being built down south. They're thinking about expanding it to different places across the country, and they don't want no brown people, no black people, and they're allowed to do it. So I mean, it's a provocative thought for us black folks to think about.
But you see what this Heritage Foundation and Donald Trump and Stephen Miller's and what they have wrought upon America. It's like this stuff. It's all in large part due to their championing white supremacy. Obviously, that was a response. America still can't get over the fact that their best, most effective, and most presidential president was a black man.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
just can't. They can't let it go. They can't let it go. And that's just the bottom line. It's the bottom line. So the hate, it's a long time. It's they will not let it go.
Right.
And that is in part why they took that election from Kamala Harris. There was no way. There was no way they go back there. So I don't care what nobody says. She won that election. Um, but nonetheless, maybe it takes Neil, a Trump appointed judge, to stop Trump or at least slow him down. That's exactly what happened yesterday when Judge Thomas Cullen, a Trump pick, dismissed the Trump administration's lawsuit against every federal judge in Maryland. Trump wanted to strip judges of their power for protecting immigrant detainees, but Judge Cullen called it extraordinarily unusual and a threat to the rule of law. So it's kind of a proof that even Trump's own appointees can see when he's gone too far. And sometimes that's what it takes to defend the Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because if everything has to be kicked up to the Supreme Court, for for Trump to get his way, I mean, the American people are going to start getting tired of it. And I think it's also showing us that, we do have some remedies and some recourse to what's happening to resist this Trump Klan administration. You see, lots of civil rights organizations suing for different reasons across the country. You see small victories that are happening. And all of these small victories and things like Governor Gavin Newsom and the lawmakers and all of these things, I think, is giving, the resistors the strength they need to fight on. Keep going. You keep going.
Oh, for Gavin Newsom's sake, that he gets extra security because they don't know what to do with him. They're getting more and more, frustrated with him, and more in a conundrum. Like, how do we deal with him? See, he's proof that sometimes, especially today, all the time, you got to fight fire with fire, and his fire is torching them, absolutely torching them. So,
yeah,
as they say, protect them at all costs.
It's given other governors, the opportunity and the strength to stand up, and we're going to need more Democratic governors across this country to stand up, especially as you look at, I saw that the lawmakers in Indiana were at the White House yesterday. So they're gearing up to start their redistricting to counteract what California is doing, to counteract what Texas did. And so, like, what Democratic state is going to be next? Is it going to be Illinois? Is it going to be New York? Is it going to be Maryland? So, it'll just, and this is crazy that this is happening.
It is crazy, but think about this. And you talk about playing chess, right? As opposed to checkers. So Trump is suing California. They announced that the DOJ is suing California over their redistricting. Be very interesting to see how this plays out, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So if he gets that case to his people at the Supreme Court, and they have the audacity to strike down California's redistricting, guess what? That applies to Texas. That applies to Missouri. That applies to Indiana. So, again, Gavin Newsom played a game of chess with y'all while y'all over there playing checkers. So we'll see. I think Gavin Newsom has checkmate here.
Yeah, he got a checkmate for sure. For sure.
Yeah. The University of Cincinnati has shut down its African American Cultural and Resource Center after these lawyers aligned with Trump banned DE&I programs. And this was a center that stood for decades and served as a safe space for Black students, a reminder of the struggle against segregation, and a bridge, I should say, to culture and community has now been totally wiped out with the stroke of a pen. And if you've ever been to Cincinnati, it sits right across from Kentucky. There's a little water separating Kentucky, and then on the other side there's Mississippi. And you think about the what that meant for these students, as they say it was a reminder of the struggles against segregation. They're looking at it in the face, and now they've stripped this away from Black students, their cultural centers. When I was in college, the brief time that I was in college, believe it or not, I used to go to the Black Student Union at Queens College in the City University of New York. And it was always a cool place to go. And you always had somebody undoubtedly talking about something along the lines of power to the people.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati doesn't want that.
Well, I mean, I think it's also a conversation. I've seen a lot of professors on TikTok talking about how the climate of these colleges are changing and how, cultural studies and Black ethnic studies, now people really showing you how they really felt about it. The other professors and things, and they're saying how, this whole DEI thing, the impact it's having on Black professors, right? Not just, them, fearful of their jobs, but how they're now being treated on these universities and college campuses. So it's not just about the jobs, it's about the climate and the way that it's changing um on these college campuses. So I mean, Trump it's always never just DEI. It is like an onion. It is the layers that go along with how DEI impacts these corporations, these universities, and just how, equality is important, right? It is so important. Equity is important. And we were just we feel like, okay, equality, yeah, we were just understanding, okay, no, now we want to take it further. We want some equity. Equality is cool, but give us the equity.
Equity.
And now he just, tore it all back. They was like, they're going too far. And it started what you said. Barack Obama is the one that busted it all open. And they was like, they're doing too much. They're doing too much.
They're doing too much. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Empress Lorraine says that not surprised in Cincinnati, where I lived there in the 90s, they let the KKK march downtown, and RNG makes, to me, it's not just a great point, but I would love to see some action on this. And you'll probably never will, but he says, I bet the University of Cincinnati will not shut down their football and basketball programs. Both programs are over 90% Black. I just wish those athletes had the ability to walk away. It would be such a statement, and it would. I think it would be sort of a game changer if athletes start walking away.
Right. Yeah.
But it's hard to ask that. I'm just throwing it out there. I know you can't. It's hard. It'd be very difficult for many of them.
Yeah, I think that we're getting to that point, though. I mean, I think about when you think about the Montgomery bus boycott, it was hard for people to have to walk to their jobs. It was hard for people to say, no, I'm not going to ride the bus. And that lasted for like a year. And so sometimes hard times call for hard decisions. And we might be getting there. When you hear the stories of these professors, when you think about the students, in a minute it might not be nothing but Black athletes on these campuses, because they aren't required to let people of color in anymore.
Exactly. And for the star athlete, it would be a lot easier. But you know what? You said it. The bus boycott and other things were tough.
It's hard. Go back. Let's talk. We were talking about, we started the show about, talking about the great migration back. Maybe we need to migrate back to the HBCUs. Let's just walk away from the PWIs and let's just all migrate to an HBCU and make HBCU great. You know what I'm saying? Talking about Gavin Newsom, let's use a little strategy as we the people, we the Black people. Let's do some strategy ourselves.
Yeah, it's gonna call. This calls for something like that. Drastic times calls for drastic measures, and it might. I think something like that would probably move the needle a lot.
Really, I think it really would. And I mean, that's what we need. We need some people with some strategy, some type of leadership that will motivate and move the people. And that's what, like, somebody like a Dr. King was. I mean, Dr. King was the poster child, but it was the win that pushed him, right? So you still needed the Urban League. You still needed the National Council of Negro Women. You still needed the NAACP. But, we had Barack Obama, but who is it now? And I'm talking about for Black people. Gavin Newsom is for America. We need a white man to fight a white man. But, we need some Black people to say, hey, I'll follow you. Just not going to drink the Kool-Aid.
And RNG says there are over 125 HBCUs and over 100 football and basketball programs on the HBCUs campuses. Tell them to pick one. And, think about it. Its precedent has long ago been set. Muhammad Ali He was he was the greatest, but he was also one of the greatest sports activists there was. He spoke out. He took a stand. He had to surrender his title because he wouldn't give in. Right? Took 3 years of his prime, and he's at Jesse Owens. You know, so the precedent is there for athletes. It's a matter of whether or not they decide or feel like they should follow that precedent.
I mean, you see, I got my Kaepernick right behind me. He did the same thing, and as I watched what is happening to these Sanders brothers, you know, it makes you, you know, wonder, you know, maybe black athletes should have still stood on business because they're still street. I mean, I think the biggest example of slavery these days is the NFL and how they treat their players and how they send them messages about, like, back in the day, how slave owners used to buck the slaves. You know, I'm gonna break you. You gonna fall in line. That reminds me of the NFL.
Yeah. And they obviously the players endure it because of the money, but at some point, you're right. And
by the way, NFL, Colin Kaepernick says he's still in shape. He's still in shape.
You know, they just need to just go ahead and just do a different league. And you know, I see where they're starting. The groundwork has been laid. They're starting a women's professional baseball league now. So, just as a side, when we think about other leagues, so that'll be interesting. But also, folks, very interesting thing. I wrote about this in these punishing times. Even rest has become an act of resistance for Black Americans and other marginalized groups. Sleep is more than recovery, it is survival. Several new studies are showing that sleep is essential. Poor rest fuels obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, and weakens decision making as well. And the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities warns of a triple threat to Black households: cuts to food assistance, Medicaid, and tariffs crushing Black-owned businesses. That financial stress robs people of the very sleep they need to survive. So, Miel, in today's chaos caused by this administration's agenda, doesn't just attack civil rights. It steals sleep away from folks, and with it, it steals Black lives.
Right. I love that. Rest is a form resistance. I truly believe that. And so, I mean, it's important. Are you a night owl or a morning person?
Neither.
Oh, you're neither.
Listen,
Okay.
I feel like I remember like my grandmother, she went to bed, the lights out at 8 o'clock, and then lights on. She's like, before, when the birds are singing 4 or 5 in the morning, she's up. I'm like, what in the world? I'd never want to be that old. And now I'm
Yeah.
old. I'm like that. I'm like, I'm not in the bed at 8. I'm winding down at 8 and trying to get to sleep by 10.
Okay.
But up early, of course. But listen, I can't say I'm a night owl. I mean, I can hang out once in a blue moon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a mixture of both. I do believe in that concept. The early bird gets the worm. I find when I really do a lot of work in the morning, by noon the results are magnificent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did that. You know, I'm already getting returns on that. I'm talking to the East Coast. But then sometimes, you know, it's like late nights, you know, working until the wee hours of the morning or partying. That's a fun time too. There's satisfaction in that. So but the point is that you could do it on your terms. And I think for me, that is a form of resistance, to have the opportunity to choose to decide if you want to be a late night or early morning person.
Look at that. Look at that picture right there. You talk about that's sleep and that's rest. You can sleep without resting, and you can rest without sleeping. But
Ooh,
homegirl right there,
say that again, as the pastor say. Let me say that again. Say that again.
I said you can sleep without resting, and you can rest without sleeping.
Mm.
But homegirl right there, that beautiful picture, She's resting. She's sleeping and resting.
She like, I'm not worried about
Not a
nothing.
thing. Not a thing. That's a great picture.
She's saying
Wow.
tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yes.
Yesterday is behind me.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, and listen, what does even the scripture say? Tomorrow, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow has enough of its own trouble. So
Hmm.
there you go. Turning our attention to the Great White Way, we want to rename it to the Great Black Way. Broadway. Broadway remains the greatest place to see some of the best theater in the world, and this upcoming season is shaping up to be no exception. The Root has reported that huge black stars like Taraji P. Henson, Don Cheadle, Ayo Idibiri, and more are making their debuts, while legends like Billy Porter, Cedric the Entertainer, and Leslie Odom Jr. Make a grand return to the stage. First on the Roots list is Joe Turner's Come and Gone, the return of one of August Wilson's greatest plays to Broadway. Cedric the Entertainer and Taraji P. Henson are set to star in that production. For Taraji, it'll be her Broadway debut, while Cedric returns to Broadway after over 10 years. And remember, he starred in American Buffalo back in 2008. Joe Turner's Come and Gone will play the Schubert Theater in the spring of 2026. Billy Porter is going to star in Cabaret. Joshua Henry and Nichelle Lewis will star in Ragtime. Don Cheadle and Ayo Idibiri, I guess is how you pronounce her name, will headline the play Proof. And of course, Hamilton returns, and Christopher Jackson has taken over the lead role in Alicia Keys's Hell's Kitchen. So lots of black doings, if you will, on Broadway, Niel.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. I mean, whether it's on Broadway or off Broadway, it seems like black folks is taking over. I love it. And I like the fact that you see a lot of hip hop and R&B stars dabbling into Broadway, like Alicia Keys, Hell's Kitchen, and you have Candy Burrs from Escape, Atlanta Housewives. She's really taking a deep dive into Broadway to producing shows. So behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, I love how all the cultures are emerging and diving in. It's motivating the unusual suspects to check out Broadway.
Yeah, I love a good play. Like I said before, musicals have never really been my thing, although I've enjoyed some musicals, Hell's
Mhm.
Kitchen obviously being one. There was a musical some years ago that I absolutely loved. I don't know how many remember this. It was called Memphis. It was
Mhm.
so good.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of them, Chicago, of course,
Mhm.
there's some good stuff out there, but the new stuff and not necessarily the new stuff, but now you got new individuals
Mhm.
joining the Broadway scene, and it should be exciting.
Yeah, I think for New Yorkers, taken for granted. Being from the West Coast, I've never been to a Broadway show, but I have seen like The Color Purple when it came out here. Philae, which was about Philae, the African musician. Really enjoyed that. I've seen The Temptations. I saw
Mhm.
that one. One of the ones I want to see, and I think it's headed to Broadway now that I missed, was 44.
Oh, okay.
It's a black play about Obama. It's about
Mhm.
Obama and Shanice Wilson, the singer, is in it. That's one that everybody like. It just came out of nowhere, and
Mhm.
it just blew up here in LA, and now it's on its way to Broadway. But that's definitely one thing I want to do. It's like just go fly to New York for Broadway and dinner.
you
Dinner
know
and a
it's
show.
and Broadway people will hate me for this, but if you see a Broadway production in Los Angeles, for instance, it's the same thing as seeing it in New York.
But there's something
Although,
different
right,
about
there's that
Broadway.
mystique. There is
Yeah.
right, and there's that, like you just said, Broadway and dinner.
A
Now
dinner and a
you're not gonna
show.
a dinner in the show. You're not gonna get that particular feel, that real feel, unless you do it in Times Square. So, there you
Yeah,
go.
and you want the book, the playbill book, you want the
Yeah,
full experience. The dinner and the show is either Broadway or Vegas. Pick one.
yeah. 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 Well, and you're right. And Dr. Joni, you're absolutely right. I mean, I say that just for people who might not ever be able to make it to New York to a Broadway show. That, as far as the production is concerned, you're not going to miss anything if you have to see it somewhere else. But of course, like you said, the experience, you're not going to get it anywhere else except New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there you have it.
There you have it. And I told you earlier that the NAACP posted yesterday they are suing everybody.
They suing everybody.
That's what they said. But they also yesterday said that they are starting with Texas over the new electoral map that strips Black voters of their political power. Now, the lawsuit accuses Texas of racially motivated gerrymandering to silence Black communities ahead of the next election. So NAACP saying not on our watch, and we just go, if Trump is EOing everything, we gonna sue everything. And that's what we need. Okay.
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, Trump administration is trying to sue California for its redistricting, and so the NAACP said, "Hey, we gonna sue Texas." So it's again, I think that when it all shakes out, as it's shaking out, let me put it that way. Right now, anyway, it's checkmate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is how democracy works. It's fight. You got to fight for it.
It said we suing everybody.
That's what I said yesterday. They said that's where I got it from. I didn't make it up. They said
I just caught it. I just caught it.
I did not make that up.
I'm slow to the draw at times.
Everybody getting the lawsuit.
It's we suing everybody. That's a shame. And it got the NAACP logo proudly displayed on there.
Well, no, and Derek Johnson, president, and the NAACP social handle posted it. And see, that's how you have to get people engaged. Like, suing everybody? Who was everybody? Right. Donald Trump, the Klan, the administration, the Department of Justice, the Department of Education. We suing everybody. Okay, we suing Hot Wheels. We suing Alligator, Alcatraz. We suing everybody. That's what they
claim they're gonna shut that thing down.
Yeah,
that the judge's ordered it shut down.
60 days, and he said that 10 days ago. Okay, they cannot. They may be able to EO it. They may be able to implement it, but they can't maintain it. They can't follow through with it. That's their problem.
Oh gosh.
All right, so let's jump into some culture wars that are happening. Snoop Dogg recently appeared on an episode of It's Given podcast and revealed that he was taken by surprise when he took his grandchildren to see Pixar's Toy Story spinoff. Now, it featured two women sharing a kiss and raising a child. So Snoop said on social, he said this led to a whole bunch of questions from his grandchildren about same-sex couples that he said, I don't have answers for. He also said, I'm scared to go to the movies now. These are kids. We have to show them this at this age. They're going to ask questions I don't have answers for. And so, this has started this big conversation. The queer community is coming at Snoop. You have transgender T.S. Madison calling him homophobic. But my girl Flame Monroe, transgender, she says she understands what Snoop means. And she ain't mad at him for saying it. So, Chat, what do you think? Should they be showing same-sex marriage situations in cartoons and kids' stories? Stacey, what do you think?
Oh, here's the thing with Snoop. Let me say this about that. The fact he may have been to say he's scared.
Let's not talk about Snoop. Let's talk about the movie.
But here's the thing with that. I think that it is fair to let, especially as a kids thing, to let people know what's in there as far as anything sexual, anything like that, where you have to have this explanation that Snoop is talking about. But Snoop also sounds hypocritical in that Snoop was in, what was that? It was that LGBT show.
The L Word.
L Word. That's right.
An adult show.
It's an adult show.
Yeah, adult content.
But here's why I say it's a little bit of hypocrisy there. Is because if you are if you have participated in a show like that, then you should be able to explain to your grandkids this situation. That's what I think anyway.
So that was an adult show, which
Mhm.
I think to the context of what he's saying is that this is children's content.
Mhm.
So children's content, why are we talking about it with cartoons? Now, as an adult, what he said, the L word is not content created for children.
Mhm.
So I don't
Right,
think
right, right.
it's
I
not
get it.
so,
I
and so
get it.
his kids won't be looking at that until they
All I'm
get a
saying is
certain age.
right.
So
All I'm saying is he shouldn't have been so at a loss. At least I don't think he should have been so at a loss. When it comes to talking to them. Now the other stuff, I mean, I get it, but I don't think he should have portrayed himself as at a loss when he's had himself experiences, as you said, albeit adult experiences. But then it seems like you should be able to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You should be able to talk to your children. It's like if you are. Well, I'll leave it at that.
yeah, I just think that he has a point, and I think this is part of that. So let me go back and say Disneyland had originally scrapped this scene, right? From the movie, but because of what happened in Florida with the gay bill or whatever, they put it back in the movie. So Disney had pulled this scene from it, and then because of all of the backlash that they got from being in Florida and Governor DeSantis' attack on the gay community, they decided to put this back in.
Mhm.
I think that people should be able to love who they want to love. Um, but I think he also does have a point. And I think also this is part of why Democrats lost a lot of
Oh
voters
yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
of this whole woke culture. And I mean, just think about when you were a child. First of all, sexuality didn't have nothing to do with a cartoon,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
It's true.
so
Well, it's true. But then again, the as RNG points out, and of course, tongue in cheek, but he said Pepe Le Pew was a sexual demon, and he turned out fine. There was a lot of when you go, there was a lot of little undertones there, and when you look back on the cartoons we used to watch, there was undertones. Now
Greer
this is
said
in your
that's not
face.
true at all, but okay.
But there was a lot of. Now, I think she agrees that when we look back, there was a lot of. It's like music. When you was a kid coming up, you jamming to certain things, and then
Right.
later on you realize, oh, it's like that with cartoons.
Yeah. I just think that we should just let kids be kids. You know what I'm saying? And
I
and
agree.
sexuality shouldn't be something, especially if you take your kids to see, a cartoon movie, or you take your kids to go see the Smurfs.
Mhm.
You're not trying to give them a sex ed class in the movie. You just want to go have some popcorn, you want them to have fun, you want them to go see Jurassic Park. Why is
Mhm.
sexuality just so driven in young kids? I don't think it's necessary. I just don't.
And that's the other question. Greer's asking where the
They
characters
they were
have sex.
kissing. Yeah,
They
they
were
were
kissing.
kissing.
Okay.
And he said his grandkids was saying Papa. And they also said in the movie about, that's their kid, right?
Mhm.
And he said the grandson was like, Pop, what's going on? Like, it's too weird. How they make a baby? Now, first of all, how they even know what it takes to make a baby? That's a whole other conversation. But he said it just brought up questions that he didn't know how to handle or didn't
Mhm.
want to handle at the time.
RNG said Pepe had Diddy tendencies. He chased and kissed that skunk for 30 minutes. But uh, there were many problematic cartoons, says Aquarius Goddess, and Dr. Joni is wondering why would they know more about the bedroom if it's heterosexual people versus homosexual people? That's ridiculous. And Shanae said that maybe he can leave that conversation to the parents. Snoop can leave that conversation to the
To the
parents,
parents, yeah.
right, to have with the grandkids. And I agree with that
And I
wholeheartedly.
think that's what I clearly that's what he did, because he was like, he had no answer. He was like, I don't even want to take the grandkids to the movies no
And
more.
and,
Leave
and
them to
right,
the-
let me say this, Dr. Marilyn, that's exactly what I was trying to express. She says that she believes, she understands what I was saying. She says, seems like if he was in a show involving the lifestyle, he should be able to articulate to children. That's what I was saying. Thank you, Dr. Marilyn. That's pretty, I know it was an adult thing, but he should be able to articulate to them. Or as Shanae said, the better option is to let their parents explain that to them.
Right. And I mean, he could have said that, but I think his point too overall was that why are we even having this in children's movies? And such a, like, okay, so I see the chat too talking about sexual references in old school cartoons. I get that. But this was an actual relationship that played out. And I mean, hey, this is the times we live in, but I also think that
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You should, like, I just feel like with this day and time, like, you couldn't have a date until you were 15 or 16, right? You can't drive until you're 18. You can't drink alcohol until you're 21. You can't drink alcohol until you're 21. Why are we trying to enforce so much on children these days when they should just be able to be kids?
Here's the other way you might, some might look at it too. A lot of times parents today doesn't seem to really give their kids the talk. So perhaps seeing something like this forces that talk upon them.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess we're living in a time too where people have to evolve because this is where we are in society. So I guess, people have to evolve. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But I will, my last thought on it is, as I said earlier, I think Disney or whomever should also, there should be something like you have the letters, the PGs and the R's and all that, right? Yeah. The TV 14s. It should be, because when that thing comes up on your screen, TV 14, TVMA or whatever, it says L for language, this for that. Right. They could have something about that this will contain some of that for those who feel like they should be warned.
I think that's a great idea and a great way to solve problems like this. So then if he says something like, well, did you read the ratings? Did you read the ratings, Snoop?
Yeah. I was told a long time ago, make sure when my kids were small, make sure you get a good preview of the movie, read about the movie before you take them to see the movie. I was always told that.
Right. Parenting 101. I have a question. Since we're on this conversation and we're talking about, so 20 years from now, do you think that like the younger generation will know what it takes to make a baby?
What?
The way the evolution is going, do you think, because there's so many ways, do you think that, like, because they're clearly in this movie right here, it's like the little boy asking, it's you laughing, but I'm serious.
No, I know. I'm not laughing at you. Believe me, I'm not laughing at you.
And my question is, does it matter? Is it important to know that it takes a man and a woman to make a baby? Is it important?
Well, I guess you gotta know. I'm not laughing at the question or at you. I'm just laughing at the fact that this stuff it's amazing, because you said 20 years from now, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we wasn't having a conversation like this.
That's my point. I mean, I know, like, Pumanit says, I think we are making too much about the issue. But society is evolving. We are inclusive, which is important. I'm glad that people don't have to be in the closet. I'm glad people can speak up about who they love and who they want to love. My question is, it's just the basic circle of life and evolution. Will it matter 20 years from now that it used to take a man and a woman to make a baby? Is that important? Is that fundamental to the evolution of life, the circle of life? Is that even important anymore?
That's a provocative question. It's a thought-provoking question.
What on earth is my point? My point is that the circle of life. That I'm just asking. Does it matter? That's my point. Does it matter? Does it matter that it takes a man and a woman to make a baby today? Does it matter? That is my point. I'm asking a question. Does it matter?
I just think
Aquarius said no. Aquarius said
no.
no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
There we have it.
Look, Aquarius said next topic.
Next topic. It doesn't matter that it takes a man and a woman to make a baby now. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, well. What you got? What else?
Nancy Wall said, yes, it matters. I just want to know.
I've got to know.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I just, I think that's it. I think that's an interesting question, because that's how I just wanted to know. Thank you for telling me. We'll continue that conversation. And speaking of we were talking about movies and parental guidance. This was one movie that I wasn't allowed to see. I was so mad. But I'm talking about the iconic Purple Rain. Now, Purple Rain star Apollonia is suing Prince's estate to ensure that she could keep that name. Now, the 66-year-old actress said in the suit filed last week that the Prince estate is mounting an aggressive campaign to keep her from continuing the use of the name. Why? Stacey, you a Prince fan. Why are they doing it?
So, it's so funny because I saw that you put this on the thing. I reached out to L. Lundell McMillan, the counsel to the Prince estate. Did not hear back from Attorney McMillan, but from what all the digging I've been able to do, this is something that is created by Apollonia only. The estate, she has not done anything in years and years. She has not tried to apparently, I should say, maybe, I haven't found it, but she has not tried to, use her stage name in decades. So I think this is it appears, I'm going to say it that way. It appears this is a grab for attention, to go out and say, I'm suing them for this name. Okay. I don't think that the name is even worth much as far as, good Lord. It's like,
it's not worth nothing, Stacey.
I really don't believe that, she can go out as Apollonia and go out and sell out arenas and stuff. I just, you know what? OnlyFans, go ahead. Apollonia. Good Lord. To me, it's senseless. Right? It just seems, again, let me rephrase it. Because it's Apollonia might be watching me. But Apollonia, I think that this is you looking for attention.
Really?
That's all I can see, because I just don't see Prince's estate fighting her to go out and perform as Apollonia. She hasn't performed in ever.
Well, it says the estate said that she signed over the rights to use the name in the contract she signed for Purple Rain. So clearly they are saying you can't use the name.
Well, I don't know if it's clear that they're saying that. I think that something may have been brought to their attention and they just responded by saying, and again, I could be wrong, folks, but I think that from what I can gather is that it came up and they just said, look, she signed the name over. But she hasn't gone out and tried to use it. And they like the Temptations, for instance. Otis has slapped people with cease and desist left and right, trying to use a form of the Temptations name, right? Apollonia, to my knowledge, has not gone out and tried to perform under Apollonia. And Prince's estate has said cease and desist. That has not happened. I think this is a conjured up controversy. Nobody thinks of Apollonia. I think about Vanity before I think about Apollonia.
Okay, Miss Sex Shooter, Stacey has spoken. Apollonia.
Leave Prince estate alone. They got enough troubles.
So we had a couple more comments about our conversation. And so Orange G says, by the way society is going, AI will teach them how to make kids. Okay, but
AI is
AI will
driving me
have
crazy.
multiple ways, though. Okay, at the rate with AI, you're not just gonna have option A, man and woman. You're gonna have a lot of options. Okay,
AI is driving me absolutely. Nia, let me tell you something, real quick. You know, everybody, New York Times, everybody's using AI to do their news articles. Everybody, right? And there is certain words that keep coming up in stories that I know is AI. For instance, the word amid is used terribly uh, every day, 1,000 times a day. And you open up a newspaper, go on a website, you're going to see that word 100 times. And so yesterday, somebody edited into my copy the word amid. I hit oh my gosh, I flipped out. Don't ever do that. Ever. That word is 1,000%. Is one of the like 20 words that I keep singing. It's 1,000% prohibited by me. I don't use you to write my articles. I don't use it. I use AI to help edit my articles. Yes.
Okay.
For grammar and spelling and stuff like that and structure.
Okay.
But you're not writing my articles, AI.
There you go. Well, AI is giving us a lot of help. Greer responded, only a man and a woman can make a baby. It matters. She says it matters. Dr. Joni says, and there are many ways to make a baby. Contrary, Greer. She said, what's important is that kids are safe and have the knowledge to keep themselves safe and informed. Dr. Mellon says those days are over, Niel, sadly. And she says, I hope I'm in heaven when that happens. So I mean, it's mixed with, we just need to determine what's important. Is it AI or society's definition, or is it the facts?
Yeah.
The good old fashioned facts.
Mike, just real quick, Mike V. Yes, I use Grammarly often to again for spell and grammar. Yes. But go ahead, Neo. I'm sorry.
No, AI, it's a great tool. But you still have to have some common sense, and sometimes you have to double check AI in the information that they have, so
it drives me bananas that and people are winning like awards in their most of their articles written by AI, and you could tell it's like everybody's so robotic.
Yeah, we're evolving. This is what evolving in technology is doing to us. Don't know the truth from the facts, and it's a lot going on, folks. Okay, and last but not least, it looks like Cracker Barrel is back. The Cracker and the Barrel is back.
Cracker and the Barrel.
The Cracker and the Barrel is back. Yesterday, the company said, we thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer, the Cracker and the Barrel, will remain.
So you gotta. So the question is, did they take away the barrel temporarily just to get rid of those Epstein's files that was in it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends. Some of the barrels have Epstein files. Some of them might have black person. It's a lot of theories.
It depends on where you go, right? It depends on which Cracker Barrel. Okay.
If you're in the sundown town,
okay,
you might
got some black bodies in there.
Yeah. Now, if you're in a liberal town, there might be a whistleblower stuffing, the Epstein file. I don't know, but they say, check the barrel when you go to Cracker Barrel.
Wow, they did all that and
folded,
just folded like a cheap suit.
And it's funny because Black America, they had fun with it, but they were like, I'm still going to get them pancakes with the crispy edges. That's all I heard. See, I've never had the pancakes, but all I've heard is that the crispy edges are just delicious.
You just got to go check it out.
The white folks that push that needle.
Well, RNG says Cracker Barrel is back with their Confederate cornbread and plantation pot roast. I will never eat that is a mess. Confederate cornbread and plantation pot roast. I got to use those expressions.
Okay. Dr. Joni is back. She says, I agree the best way to parent children is with loving parents. If they are the same sex, loving and caring and teaching those children, it is no different than a heterosexual couple doing the same. Oh, I totally agree with that. 100%.
Nancy Wall says,
100%.
she says the Epstein files must be in the barrel. And Dr. Marilyn says people have entire conversations with AI. Maybe I should start doing that. I
Yeah,
need
they
somebody to
do.
talk to.
Somebody said there was a headline that somebody got into an argument with
With
AI.
AI?
Yep.
Oh, God.
And then there are some stories coming out that AI was bullying children. See, I haven't gotten that deep into AI. All I do is
Can't
use it
imagine.
for fact checking. But I mean, there are people who are really like having a whole relationship, and I'm not talking about sexual, just a whole
Next.
partnership
They're
with
doing that
AI.
too.
And I'm like, how is that happening? Because all I do is just type in something and get the information I need.
Oh man, Mike V says it's right on time for me to get my raisins mixed up with mayonnaise at Cracker Barrel.
Ooh, child. Ooh, child.
Listen,
Okay, well, those are your headlines for
there
today.
you
And
go.
you know, God is love and love everybody. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the greatest and first commandment. And that's all we are charged to do. Put that out there. Love is love.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. On this on this date in 1960, there's some black facts, folks. Black history facts. On this date, 1963, the eve of the March on Washington, NAACP co-founder W.E.B. Du Bois died at the age of 95 in Ghana, where he had become a citizen earlier that year. He was born in 1868 in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. W.E.B. Du Bois first experienced Jim Crow while at Fisk University, shaping his lifelong fight against racism. In 1895, he became the first Black person to earn a doctorate from Harvard. And as a professor at Atlanta University, he clashed with Booker T. Washington, rejecting accommodation to discrimination and urging protest and agitation instead. And in 1909, of course, W.E.B. Du Bois co-founded the NAACP and edited its Crisis magazine, leaving a legacy as one of the fiercest voices for Black equality.
Yeah. Much respect to his legacy and everything, the crisis. That's partly why we're here today, because you know he was writing about truth to power. You know, what would a W.E.B. Du Bois podcast sound like?
Oh, yeah. How about that?
Wouldn't that be good?
Listen, the anthem would be Public Enemy's Fight the Power and
Oh
other
no,
Public
I
Enemy
think he would
songs.
have something a little more jazzier. You know, I don't know if he would like hip hop too much. That might not be his thing.
No.
I don't know
Okay.
if he would like hip hop. You know, he would need something else, I think. But yeah, can you imagine if like W.E.B. Du Bois or Marcus Garvey or you know Muhammad Ali? You know, what would they be talking about if they had a podcast? What would they be saying?
Oh, that would. Ooh, that's a great question. These are great questions. I like that. I like to think about that. Yes.
Who would you want to hear, Chad? Who would you want to hear from the civil rights era, and maybe even Nat Turner? Would you want to hear a Nat Turner podcast? What
Yes.
what icon from back in the day podcast would you want?
That's a great question. What icon from back in the day? Yes, I would. Nat Turner would definitely be on top of the list.
Right, but I would want him post preacher for the slave master. I want the post Nat Turner, not the one that was going to the plantations telling us to get in line because it's God's will. You know, I
Yeah.
want the other one. The
Exactly.
one
Well,
post.
exactly.
All right, you
Exactly.
guys. And we're also remembering an icon today. In 2020, actor Chadwick Boseman, known for his iconic role as T'Challa in Marvel's Black Panther, passed away at the age of 43. And we know he died from cancer. But his impact on the culture is forever missed. And the only reason, or in part, it's like Wakanda Forever, is because of the character that he brought to life. So we
Yeah.
remember him and celebrate him today.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, you're right. It's a large reason why people do understand and do that. Wakanda forever.
I
Yep,
mean, we
absolutely.
in Wakanda right now. Every morning we wake up. This is the state of Wakanda, y'all. This is what Wakanda feels like. We could speak. We could be free. It's no judgment. It's all love. We can disagree, but this is the state of Wakanda. It's a state of mind.
Hmm.
Org says Thurgood Marshall. He would love to
Yeah, I
hear.
would love to hear that too. Yep, yep. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. I would want
Our
to hear Harriet Moses. What would
oh
Moses say to the people of today?
yeah, yeah. Interesting stuff. Our black-owned newspaper today is the Jackson Advocate. We are staying down south. The Jackson Advocate uh, is a black-owned newspaper serving black Mississippians since 1938 with the mission to inform, record, advocate for social justice, and lead by example. Published weekly in Jackson, Mississippi. The paper's motto is the voice of black Mississippians, and its content covers local, national, and even global issues. So check out the Jackson Advocate online, or if you're in Jackson, pick up a physical copy. Our homegirl, Deanna Johnson and family, they're down there doing their thing. So tip of the hat to the uh, Jackson Advocate.
Mm, mm. Nancy Wall said Moses would say, "Let my people go."
Let my people go.
Right. All right. This for the latest in Black news. You can head over to blackpressusa.com. We have headlines from all across the country from Black newspapers that are making the difference in telling our stories and that are saying, let our people go. So follow us on all Instagram, social media handles, and you can always go to blackpressusa.com.
Remember, we are continuing that series on the transatlantic slave trade at blackpressusa.com. So check it out daily. And we're going to keep our history alive. Nobody's going to take it away from us or bury it. So there you have it. Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll see you then.